Hello, good evening. Today we are recording the third session, the third sip of chai and Dart. As earlier we discussed, let's see the documentation. If you go on dart.dev, you can find a lot more documentation for that. Here I am in the docs section where you'll find the documentation for the language. Let's say we will take the language 2 today. The basic introduction for Dart we have already done, and the main method we learned about and how to print hello world statement. We also learned about lot many variables, but this is a var keyword. It's a generic type. It means you can assign any kind of value to it, like an integer or a string or a list. So all type of variables can be assigned to a generic type var variable. We use this kind of stuff when we don't know what kind of data we will be dealing with. In that case, we can use var. It would solve the problem of accepting any kind of data type you would be receiving. And then comes the control flow statement we haven't gone through yet. This will be useful when we are doing some operations. So we are controlling the data here. That's what it means, control flow statements. These are statements. We can assign statements to control them. So let's say we are telling them that if year is less than or equal to 2001, then only you print this statement, 21st century, or else you could jump to another statement and then print something else. So we will use this kind of statements further. Also functions we talked about. Functions, if written outside a class, we call it as functions. If they are inside a class, then we call them as methods. So don't get confused between methods and functions. They are basically the same, but the scope is different. If you write it outside the class, it's a function. And then remember, if you write it inside a class, then it's a method. So that's the difference between functions and methods. The style is same, or the lint is same to write a function. We will also write many functions inside a class. So that's what we are going to learn about, how to write classes in Dart. So these are some comments, some imports. We just need one import, but you can go through in detail all of this stuff and you can experiment with them. That's what makes you a good developer. And yes, now let's get into classes. So here we can see an example class with so many properties. So what are classes? Classes are nothing but a blueprint of an object. We can create objects from classes. If we understand it in simple words, let's get into our old code where we learned this void main method and we printed so many statements where we created so many data types, variables and their values, and we printed them in that last session in the SIP2. Today we will just get into the basics folder, basics.dart we created earlier. Now let's create a new file. We will call it classes.dart. Let's not use class as a name for the file name, because that might get confused. So we should also think about those naming conventions which Dart already uses by default. We shouldn't consider using them in our project. Let's stick with classes for now. Okay, so we have an empty canvas. Let's create a class. How to create a class? Just name it with the keyword class. Let's name it as chai. And how do we close the class? With curly braces. Okay, so our class is ready. This is a class. It's a blueprint and I named it as chai. What we can do with it? Let's come to main method again. So don't get confused with all of this. I'm not using any of this code in here. We will completely use only our classes file. What I'm doing is, let me just comment this out. Create an object of that class. I created an object of chai. This is my class chai and I created an object inside my main method. So it is giving me an error. Yes, it says the function call isn't defined. I don't know what chai is. That's what main method says, because Dart has nothing called chai in its library. We need to tell main method that I have a class and in that class I have chai defined as a class. So how should we tell this main method is? Just see here we have three more options. Let's say view problem. It will give you some detailed information about the problem, and quick fix will give you some suggestions where you could fix your code. Just small fixes will be done from quick fix. You can also use Copilot to fix your code. So let's not use Copilot to fix my code. I'll just use quick fix. and it gives me some suggestions. Quick fix with easy code function chai isn't defined. Try improving the library that defines chai. So it is telling me to create or import. It gave me some options. I will say I don't want to create any chai class here. I just want to import the basics. Slash is the path. This is the path of that file. It will define the folder structure you have automatically, and then dot dot. This is the file name inside this folder. So I'll click on this. See, it imported the path to that file. It is referencing this file and taking the chai class as an object of this chai blueprint. So that's what I did. So let's run our code now. So I closed my debug console, but it will open automatically. If it isn't opening in your system, then you can click on this thing, and then here there are values of errors and warnings. You can click on that and this will reappear, and you can close it from here when not needed if you need some space here to code. So it exited. My code has run and exited. So these are commented out, so it didn't print all of those old values we played earlier with. My chai was recognized by this main method. It exited. It ran the code and didn't know what to do and exited. Inside this chai class, I'll write some code. Here I will say a data type called string. Full name is equal to, in double quoted marks, Rukhsar Ahmed. It suggested me, and I've pressed tab to accept the suggestion. So this is my full name, and I'll write a print method inside. Print full name. It gives me a warning. Let's check the warning. I've hovered over it. So print must have a method body because chai isn't abstract. Try making chai abstract or adding a body to print. So I'll tell you what abstraction is. Abstract methods don't have method bodies, but only method with arguments can be defined inside an abstract method. I'll go in deep how abstract methods work, but let's just write it inside a method. Let's call a method output. It's just trying to say is whichever method you use in a class, you will have to use a body for that method, and print is an abstract method as I told you earlier. So print doesn't have a body, so we can't use an abstract method inside a class until a class is an abstract class. Okay, so this is chai isn't an abstract class right now, so we can't use an abstract method inside an abstract class. So let's just remove this abstract method, and inside it and inside the output we'll paste it here. So now the error is gone. So now it says okay, this function is inside a class, so this is a method now, it's not a function. Okay, so what is happening here is I have defined a method inside chai class which has another method, another abstract method print inside, which is calling my variable Rukhsar Ahmed. Okay, so let's run this code now. Started a debug session, exited. Okay, so it's fine. So my chai class was called from here, from main method, but we didn't find that print here. We didn't get the output of print or the variable called full name because we didn't tell it to. We just call the class and the main method says yes, I have the class, but I don't know what to do with the class. So I want to say the main method that okay, call the class, and I'll remove this output and then say click, say dot. So this dot will help you access whatever methods are inside your class. So I defined output, so now I can access it from this main method. So I'll press tab. See what happened here is instance member output can't be accessed using static access. Okay, we didn't actually can access output directly from here because we didn't initialize the class first. We initialized it here. Let's say we will initialize it. Sorry. Okay, let me just remove that. let's say chai dot output. Okay, that error is gone now. That error was a lint error, which was telling that you can't call a method directly on an instance. You will have to create an object of that instance and then call that methods. So I can't directly call a class and then access its method. I'll have to create an instance of that class, create an object of that class. So what's an object? Let's discuss objects. Objects is nothing but a blueprint. Let's say you have a customer and you want to serve chai to him. So you will have chai and many instances of cups. So what I'm trying to do is create, let's not call it output, let's change output as cup chai. Okay, let's call it cup chai. Method name is cup chai now, and it has, okay, let's say I'll create one more variable named chai quantity and assign it 60 ml. Okay, it doesn't know what ml is, but let's say 60 is, and I'll mention it and as an integer, or let's take it as, yeah, integer is fine. So I'll say print full name, I'll duplicate it, and then I'll say print, sorry, it's not in capital, chai quantity. Okay, so let's see what we can do now. We will have to change the method name here. It's not output anymore. We will call it cup chai. Okay, so what we did is created an instance of chai class and accessed its method through an object. So this chai is an object of this class. This class is the blueprint, and this chai as a duplicate of the blueprint. Now it can do many operations with those methods whichever we defined inside the class. So we have cup chai as a method inside this chai class. So now let's run the code. Yes, we got the output because we accessed the method cup chai inside chai, and so that my full name was printed, and 60 as an ml, a chai cup ml was printed. So this is a bit confusing. This 60 is a bit confusing. It says Rukhsar Ahmed 60. This could be age, this could be anything. So let's do something else to define it properly. So we'll go into classes and we will learn about string interpolation. So we talked earlier about string interpolation and how we can interpolate different variables inside a string. So here I am accessing chai quantity variable inside this print method. So what I'll do is I'll place it, I'll remove it completely first, and I'll define some double quotes, and let's say chai quantity chai ml. See, what I did is string interpolation. I mentioned a string, okay, and accessed chai quantity as a variable inside this string using this dollar sign. This dollar sign says this isn't string, recognize me as a variable. So that's what it said, and it has a variable inside a string. So interpolated a variable inside a string. So this is called string interpolation. So now let's run our main method. Okay, you can see Rukhsar Ahmed as my full name, and chai quantity, the string interpolation with that with 60 ml. This is much more clear than earlier where it said only 60 as the value, but now we have a clear picture of what's going on. Okay, this chai, this 60 is chai quantity, and Rukhsar Ahmed, my name, was printed. So let's say, what else we can do with the class? We can create methods, we can create variables, and we can create instances of this class. And why do we use instances? Let's say the example I gave you, you have many customers to serve for, and then you have the same chai, and you will create instances of cups and then serve your customers. So that's what I'm doing. A chai cup, I'll just pass name and quantity, how much to serve and who to serve inside a method, and this class has all those variables and methods defined.